Alright, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the first video I'm making where I play Once Upon a Time, the storytelling card game. And I play it Solitaire, essentially modifying the rules to a slight different way of playing where there's no interrupting or multiple players, just me using the cards that come with the game and the expansions to tell an improvised on-the-spot story. I can't guarantee that the story will be great, especially this is my first time doing it. But hopefully it's a little interesting or funny or relaxing or exciting or something other than not worth your time. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to let you know, I made a little video before where I kind of explained the rules about how I'll be doing this. And those might change as I make more videos. But I'm going to be picking one card at a time and playing it, discarding interrupt cards. So that way I can only use cards with, images for the purposes of these videos. And then the difference is, though, the ending card I'm going to know ahead of time. So here's the ending cards. So let's mix them up. And we'll get an ending card out. The only thing is, I'll know the ending card right from the beginning, but you won't know until the end, when the story ends. So here it is. I'm going to look at it now. Okay, I've got my ending card. I know what I'm building towards, so I'm going to put the rest of the ending cards away. So this will use fairy tale elements. It will use other elements that may or may not be fairy tale. There may be a little bit of, breaking the fourth wall, or a little bit of kind of meta humor or this or that, but it's not meant to be an outright parody or satire. It's meant to actually be a fairy tale, or at least a real work of fiction, work in quotes, since I'm just improvising it here as we go. Unrevised, unedited, but very, very raw. Alright, so ending cards are done. This isn't actually all the story cards. A few are still in my box here, or on top of it rather, but this is a heck of a lot, and it's random which ones were missing. It's just how I rubber banded them, but that's okay. Let's use these, and this is all of the expansions that are available as of the time I'm uploading this video. So let's mix them up too. My right wrist is broken, is why I have a cast on my arm. If either of my cats come over and interrupt, I may have to gently push them out of the story universe. Alright, here's our story cards. I'm going to draw them one at a time rather than having a hand. Therefore, I have to play them in the order I draw them. And I will discard interrupt cards. So I'll have to find a way to make this work. Not just like in the regular game, not everything you say has to have a card to represent it. Otherwise, you would just be dropping cards too quickly. There wouldn't be enough fun. Yet at the same time, you don't want to wait too long between each card. Otherwise, you don't even need a deck of cards. We can all just get together and tell a story, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's kind of nice how the cards give a sort of loose structure and inspiration and a framework for moving forward with the story. It's a nice balance. I'm not very good at this part. Okay. And this also may increase as I create more, but the game comes with make your own story cards, including blank story ones and blank ending cards. I've already made a bunch, and I intend to make more, and the ones that are complete are already mixed in. So you see ones that are handwritten and drawn, those were made previously by me, and obviously don't come with the game. Alright, once upon a time, there was a young squire, and the squire was very ambitious. He wanted very much to not just become a knight, but a famous protector of the kingdom. He had very large ambitions to protect the kingdom and to gain fame. And some of that was self-serving, but some of it was that he genuinely liked to help people. And he was always very, very active, very up to something, going on adventures, playing with his friends. Oops, there's an ending card in the wrong deck. He had heard stories of a dragon who had slept for many years and lived outside of the kingdom. The legends and even the history said that in centuries past, the dragon had attacked the kingdom he lived in and left and went to sleep and hibernated, but was never destroyed, so the dragon could return. Naturally, this got his imagination a wonder, and he thought to himself, perhaps there's a way that I can find this dragon and slay him once and for all, so that the kingdom never has to worry again. Now, he knew that he didn't have much chance of finding the dragon on foot, because it was quite a distance away, and he wanted to get there quickly as soon as he heard the legend, which was relatively recently. I heard it. It wasn't constantly talked about. So he went to the nearby stables and saw that they were selling horses and that there was only one horse left currently for sale that the stable master had. And he said, I would like to buy that horse. And the stable master said, well there, boy, I have to tell you, that horse is my last one, and I quite feel that I wouldn't part with it unless I was given quite a sum, quite a treasure. That horse is one of the smartest and fastest horses. And the squire, who is named Jeremy, the squire said, well, what do you want for him? I don't have a shitload of money, but I've got, but my parents are tailors, so I could, hook you up with some fine clothes. That's why I'm dressed nicely. I don't want you to get the impression that I'm wealthy. I just have access to nice clothes because of my legacy of tailoring. But I don't want to be a tailor. I want to be a knight. I'm a squire. I'm assisting knights right now. And so hopefully I'll be a famous knight, but I'm not wealthy. I am not the 1%. And the stable master said, well, I'll tell you. This horse has been retired, despite being relatively young, ever since it was traumatized by a battle it was involved in as a war horse. The Battle of Ledge's Rock. And the squire named Jeremy said, "Oh, you know what? I heard about that battle. That's the battle where our kingdom basically had to fight a bunch of, like, ghouls and wispy things, and we ended up winning, thanks to magic, but all the horses got really, really scared." And the old stable master said, "That's the one. He was the leader of the horses. And he's still quiet to this day. He's still not the horse he used to be. He just sort of stands there." I said, "I will give you the horse if you can find a way to bring Jeremy back to his former no, you're the Jeremy. The boy is a squire. The horse's name is Solomon." And the stable master said, if you can find a way for Solomon to get back to his former self." Okay, pavilion is a place. And so the squire Jeremy said, "Okay, well, how could I do that? What do you think could cheer him up? What do you think could make him happy again?" And the stable master said, "Well, let's go to..." He said, "You should go and see if you can convince the people at the pavilion in town where they sell herbs and medicinal items, and see if they can make an elixir or a tonic or a potion that might cure him of his trauma. I don't really know much about horse psychology, but I assume that there's some sort of medicine, but the cost of the medicine would be even more than what I could charge for the horse." And so Jeremy said, "Okay, so if I can cure him, you'll feel good enough about it that you'll let me take him." It's like, "Yes." Okay, so Jeremy goes off to try to find this particular pavilion where they're selling herbs and medicine in the marketplace downtown. And Jeremy finds that he goes to the market. He finds that the pavilion is run by an obvious pirate. Like, very obvious, like eye patch, peg leg, scimitar, or cutlass, and just pirate accent, just very piratey. There's no doubt that this person is a pirate. And it's a guy. This is the character illustration, but it happens to be a male. And the obvious pirate says, "Ahoy there, matey. I see you come asking about medicines, the likes of which might cure the trauma of a horse. Well, first of all, I am bound by my oath to make sure that only medicines are sold that may yet help those and not poison them or hurt them. I'm losing my accent there. The pirate said, "I'm very, very ethical, despite looking exactly like a pirate." And Jeremy was like, "Oh, I seriously thought you were a pirate." And the not pirate says, "Yeah, I know, everyone thinks I'm a pirate. I'm not a pirate. I look like a pirate. I lost my leg. I need an eye patch, and this is the kind of sword I like to use. I'm just not a pirate." Jeremy's like, "Okay, it's cool. I shouldn't assume, book cover, all that." They are looking. The non-pirate says, "Well there, young squire. Look over, up at that castle window. and tell me what you see. And Jeremy says, I see men preparing to go jousting. Knights. That's what I want to do. I want to be a great knight. And the non-pirate says, so that's why you're trying to get this horse back into fighting shape. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you what you need to get that horse back to fighting shape again. But only if you promise me one thing. And Jeremy's like, yeah, sure, anything. I'm getting pretty used to doing fetch quests now. He goes, no, I'll just give it to you, but you have to promise me that when you finish going on whatever quest you're going on, matey, that you use your fame and glory to help the people of the kingdom, and not, it's getting Scottish, and not use it just for your own ambitions. And Jeremy was like, that's cool. I can totally do that. And that's actually what my godmother taught me. I don't have parents. They died in the Great Orphan Fire of 76. And he's like, what is the Great Orphan Fire? Were they orphans? I'm confused. Like, no, it's confusing. I was not an orphan at first. I had parents, but the parents ran an orphanage. Then when the orphanage burned down, ironically, I became an orphan. It's confusing. It would be funny if it wasn't a sad story. He's like, yeah, that's really sad. That's not even funny at all. I mean, that's a little funny. It's like, anyway, my godmother, she's wonderful. She's lovely. And she's always like, do things to help people. But I'm always just thinking, I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, I got puberty coming up and I'm really, I gotta make a name for myself. I gotta brand myself as like this cool kind of heroic, badass. And the non-pirate goes, just remember what your mother told ya. So, all right, I'll do my best. It's an interrupt. Okay, save this for a moment. So, Jeremy gets the herbal tonic that the non-pirate describes as being necessary to cure the horse, brings it back to the stable master, who's delighted that it works. As soon as it works, the horse looks way happier. Is just like legit smiling. The horse is like, I just feel good. I mean, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. That's what its face looks like. It's not talking. It's just a horse. We don't have reason to believe it's magical at this point. And Jeremy's like, this horse is just so happy. That makes me happy. And horse, I'm going to be good to you. I'm going to treat you well. And the horse looks appreciative. So, the stable master is about to send them off and says, oh, just one thing to remember. When you see the dragon, be very careful, because the dragon will try to tempt you, and the dragon has a history of betrayal and treachery. I'd be very cautious before speaking with the dragon. If you're going to kill it, just kill it. But don't speak with it. Its greatest weapon is how persuasive it is, this dragon. That's what I heard anyway. I mean, who knows? It's just a legend, right? But you do you, boo. And so Jeremy begins going on his quest and he tries to recruit other people with him because he's going to try and kill a dragon, and he's a boy, so he's like, all right, this is gonna be tough. He brings a short sword, and he goes with his horse. He's got a little bit of supplies. He gets a crude map of where the dragon might be, so he's got a little bit of an idea, but it's mostly legend. He tries to recruit people to go with him, but everyone around is just too cowardly. They're too cowardly about going to fight a dragon, it kind of understandably. But he's alone. He goes on his journey, and he travels fairly far. Ignore the character. I'm just making a decision that it's fish. He decides to fish along the way as a way to have enough food. He's pretty good at fishing. He's pretty good at basic survival things for a boy. And it's going quite well. Except he still hasn't found the dragon. But he comes across a wicked-looking troll in his travels. And the troll says, "Beyond this swamp that I guard, you..." No, not a swamp. Spooky woods. They're spooky woods. "Beyond these woods that I guard, you cannot go further. These woods will consume you." And Jeremy's like, "I'm not afraid of forests. I've been in forests before. Not that scary." Jeremy's like, "You don't understand. The scariest part of these woods are what you bring inside." And Jeremy's like, "You're talking really evil. Are you bad? What's going on? Do you not want me to do well?" And the troll's like, "Ha ha ha ha. Why have you come all this way from the great kingdom?" Jeremy's like, "Well, I think past these woods is where the dragon lives." And the wicked-looking troll says, "Oh, yes, but getting to the dragon is the difficulty, after all." Oh, whoops, I forgot to put cowardly out here. And fish, I'm just discarding them. After all, don't you think others would have made it to the dragon and killed him by now if they could find him? Jeremy's like, "Yeah, I just assumed people lost interest. I mean, maybe he's hard to find." He's like, "No." The troll says, "No, it's the woods." Jeremy's like, "I get it. They're creepy." It's like, "Creepy is an understatement. These woods will horrify you. They will give you terrible, terrible visions." And so Jeremy walks up bravely, or trots up bravely with his horse, and pushes the troll aside and says, "I'm going in anyway. I don't care about you." And at first it's going all right in the woods. He's going through. He says, "All right, this is okay. These woods are not that scary." Then as he's getting ready to doze off for the evening, as he's camping in the woods, he has a horrible vision of dark black water, and he's breathing water. And there's a drowning sensation, but he doesn't drown in his vision. He just keeps breathing the water in a most horrific of ways. And then he pops out of his vision. He goes, "Oh, geez, okay, I gotta get back to reality. So, to kind of get himself back into the mundane, he looks at his map again. Says, "Okay, this is the map that I got. It's kind of hard to decipher, but I still need to keep going directly this way. I don't know if I can sleep tonight in these woods. I'm just going to walk. I'm just going to keep traveling during the nighttime, and I'll light up this lantern I have. My best bed." So he says, I don't want to go to sleep in these woods. So he takes out his map and starts continuing to travel. And then he comes across a group of signs. Kind of like a crossroads, but there's is a group of signs. It's basically a crossroads. And the group, it looks like there's different signs pointing in different ways. And all of the signs have arrows pointing in different directions. And they say, dragon, question mark? Dragon, question mark? They all say dragon, have a question mark afterwards. Like, is this the way the dragon is? Is this the way? And he's like, oh my god, WTF. This is confusing and creepy. But there's all these different signs. Except for the sign. Except for the road that seems to be the direction that his map is pointing him in. So he thinks for a second, which sign will I go down? And then he goes, you know what? I'll follow the map. I'll follow the map. And then he comes across a goat standing in the road. And something is strange about this goat. And the goat says, these woods are the center of your fears. These woods bring out the fears inside of you. And you will be lost within your own fears if you stay here for long. And Jeremy says, how is it that you speak to me out loud as though you were a man? And the goat changes and transforms before him into an old man. Actually, let's change up. More diversity. Into an old woman. The old woman says, I have lived in these woods for many years, facing my fears, but the only way to survive has been to disguise myself as a creature of the woods, and so I usually disguise myself as a goat. My name is Miranda, and I am a denizen of these haunted, fearful woods. So Jeremy says, okay, my name's Jeremy. Why do you live here? What's your, what's your deal? Can't you leave? Surely you don't want to live here. And Miranda says, you see, many years ago, a terrible curse was placed upon me, that I cannot be freed from these woods until my soul is purified by fire, and I have no wish to burn. No wish. Jeremy says, okay, so who placed that curse on you? And like, are you, I still can't read you. Are you on my side here, or are you gonna screw me over, or just basically freak me out like the way that troll did? And she says, you seek to kill the dragon, and it is a noble pursuit, but you would not be able to do it on your own. I cannot come with you, but I can give you this sword. And she, apparently at her side, has this sword, and she unlatches it from her belt and gives the sword and scabbard to Jeremy. It says, this sword has a magical property that it can destroy something magical. It can destroy an enchanted creature. And... excuse me. Pardon me. It can destroy an enchanted creature and put an end to evil. But it can only be wielded by a person with an earnest purpose. Jeremy says, "Thank you, Miranda. I will use it wisely." And Miranda says, one more thing. Be cautious of believing the troll, for he is full of trickery, and he will deceive you, but less so than the dragon will attempt to deceive you. So Jeremy says, that's fair. I'll be cautious. So he continues on in his journey, and his horse has been very brave and true and loyal. He's really happy with his horse purchase. 5 stars, Amazon.com. Loves it. Best horse purchase. But these woods are fearful and scary. Then he has another terrifying vision. And in his vision, he's being bit by 1,000 mosquitoes. Tens of thousands. And all of his blood being drained by these huge mosquitoes in horrible ways. And his horse bravely nuzzles his head against Jeremy's head and kind of shakes him out of the vision. And he says, "Oh, thank you very much, Dynamite Thunder." That's what he names him, because he's a boy, so he's not that good at naming yet. "Thank you very much, Dynamite Thunder. You got me out of that stupor where I was having another terrible vision brought on by this haunted place. This place is evil." And Dynamite Thunder's like, it's cool. I mean, his face looks like that. Executive decision. I'm just going to insert these stables earlier because there were stables in the story. I'm allowed to do stuff like that if I want. So, Jeremy continues his journey, and he feels that he's nearing the end of the forest. And finally, just on the outskirts of the forest, on the other side, comes, and the bird says, "Why, how is it that you made it through these woods?" And Jeremy said, and the bird's like, "Most get lost in their fears and die somewhere in the middle." And Jeremy says, "I suppose you could say I had a loyal and brave friend to help me," looking at Dynamite Thunder. And the bird said, "You are lucky. In this life, friendship that is true and steadfast is one of the rarest and most precious of things." And Jeremy is like, "You are wise for a bird. How are you talking? Are you also someone disguised as an animal?" And the raven's like, No, I'm legit bird. There's no trickery here. I learned to speak from the dragon." Whoa, shocked and everything. The dragon taught me how to speak so that I could be his servant and do all his little chores and errands. But I grew tired of his tyrannical commandments, and I fled and now live away from him and his cruelty. So Jeremy says, "Okay, well, can you bring me to him? Can you show me where he is?" And the raven said, "I will. By the way, my name is Raven, which makes it easy to remember because I am also a raven. So it's just convenient." Jeremy says, "Nice to meet you. I'm Jeremy. This is Dynamite Thunder. You know, we're pretty new friends as well, so this is cool that we're all meeting. I like this. So they travel for a while, and now they're traveling through more like plains and grasslands. And you know, there's a lot of character development. They hear a lot about each other, and finally the Raven says, "I have some magical powers, but I only have enough power left for one spell. But if it means stopping this horrible, cruel dragon, which, by the way, FYI, is planning to attack the kingdom again soon. So this is good timing." Jeremy's like, holy, yeah, God, yeah, this is really good. And the Raven says, "My final spell is to transform Dynamite Thunder." And he says, "No, please don't hurt Dynamite Thunder. Don't mess with him." And the Raven said, "You must have magic on your side if you're going to defeat the dragon." And so he starts casting a spell. And Dynamite Thunder and Jeremy look really nervous. But then before their eyes, with a spark of magic, Dynamite Thunder is transformed before their eyes into a unicorn. It's really handy and cool this card came up then. And Dynamite Thunder says, "I can speak now. I feel reborn. Thank you so much, Raven, for giving me this power." But Raven looks less engaged than he was before. And looks kind of out of it, just like a regular bird. And Raven just goes, "Arr, arr," and just points over at a cave, but then flies off. And Jeremy says, "Dynamite Thunder, I think the Raven gave you his power of speech when he he's like, yeah, I get it, when he transformed me. Yeah, I caught that too. Yeah, but wow, is this what it feels like all the time to think linguistically? It's super interesting." So that was a cut in the recording. But yeah, so Dynamite Thunder says, yeah, so it's really incredible having linguistic thinking. This is really remarkable. And he kind of goes on and on about it for a while. And he's like, and Jeremy says, "You know what? I love hearing you talk. I'm on board with this. I like this a lot. But you gotta rein it in a little bit. You gotta dial it down because you're not used to it yet. So maybe you're overwhelmed with it. But you know, let's have a conversation. Don't just talk at me." And Dynamite Thunder's like, "All right, I feel you on that. That's okay. But do me a favor. Call me Dino from now on." It's like, "All right, Dino, that sounds good. It makes it sound like you're a dinosaur. But I'm fine with that." They go off into the direction of where the Raven was pointing. And they see the cave. It's a large cave entrance. And there's heat coming from it. And they say, This is the place where the dragon is." Cautious and scared, but they both go in, thinking about what Miranda said about how the dragon was in here. And they go in, and they travel for a while, and finally they come across the dragon, sleeping but beginning to wake up. Not as though they disturbed it, but as though, like the Raven said, it was starting to, get ready to attack. It was starting to wake up. The time was coming soon. And the dragon, huge and terrifying, and bronze in color, says, "Oh, I see you there, little squire on your unicorn. Have you come to kill me with that sword of yours?" It will not work against me. And the squire, Jeremy, says, It must. I cannot let you destroy my kingdom. I can't let you cause any more pain to my people. Or to Miranda. Or the raven. And the dragon goes, The raven! That little whelp, that ingrateful servant. When I find him, I will tear his beak from his head. And as for Miranda, she is inside that woods because of a curse I placed upon her when she first tried to kill me with that sword you now hold at your side. And Jeremy is kind of shaking now at this point, feeling the heat and even sensing the weight and power of the dragon as the dragon stretches and gets larger and begins to expand out its wings and walk closer to them. And the dragon says, Listen, you don't have to try to fight me. You'll surely die. But I can give you power. I gave Raven the ability to speak, and he was just a bird. Think of what I can give you when you are human. I could give you incredible power. I could make you famous beyond your wildest expectations, and I could make you the greatest and most tremendous and most successful man in your kingdom, with beautiful blonde hair and a following that was almost cult-like. And Jeremy thinks for a moment, having fantasies of success and fame and popularity. And the dragon says, You'll never be lonely again. You get lonely at night, don't you? You wish only to have a beautiful wife who understands you, to have friends who love you, and to feel included and part of everything. You only wish to be as important as you see others. I can give you all of that and more. And Jeremy's considering it. Then Dino, which is short for Dynamite Thunder, says, Don't do it. Don't listen to him. It's all tricks. Even if he could give you that, think of the cost. The destruction of innocent lives. Do not do it. So then, Jeremy, in the blink of an eye, engages forward, kind of instructing Dino to charge at the dragon, and riding ferociously with his sword he draws, Rah! Coming at the dragon, and swings his sword at the dragon's hide, and it clanks with a spark, and he feels the sword become hot and magical. There's like a heat coming from the sword and sparks. Oh, and the dragon says, you would use the fire sword against me. I suppose Miranda thought that a fire sword would be strong enough to melt through my scales, but my power does not come from my armor or is something that's vulnerable to mere fire. My power comes from the fear of mortals. In vain, Jeremy tries a few more times. Then, with a kick of one of his legs, the dragon hurls both Dino and Jeremy into the air, and with a violent crash on the smooth of the cave floor, they get up to their feet, and Jeremy gets back up on Dino, even though they're both a little bruised. And Dino says, All right, we're not doing well here. What should we do? Should we go at him again? And Jeremy says, no. We run. And he turns around and runs, and they're running, and the dragon laughs. Run, you cowards, run. It will not save your kingdom. And Dino says, why are we running? We can't do that. Our kingdom will die. We can't just leave. And Jeremy says, we're not leaving anywhere. He races back down the path that went up into the cave and back into the forest, back to the edge of the forest. And Jeremy said, and they go over a bridge to get there, hence this bridge. There was a bridge there, by the way. And Jeremy gets off Dynamite Thunder and says, I have to swing this sword true and hard against these trees and start a fire. It's like, you want to burn this forest down? He says, yes. I don't think anyone's tried that before. They just avoid it. So he begins hacking and swinging his sword against the trees, and sparks fly, and the wood seems to heat up, but there's no fire yet. Then they hear the howl on the wind of the dragon behind them, and they hear the cackling in the air of the dragon. You ran away from me. Why are you there at the edge of the forest? And they see the dragon in the air, way up high, begin swooping down. And Jeremy says, this has to work. I must make this work. And he swings hard enough. And from the heat of the flame sword, a tree catches on fire. And there's some magic about the fire, because it begins to expand quickly. And tree after tree catches on fire. And finally, they hear a cry of pain in the air. Roar! And the dragon comes down with a loud and violent smack and a deep thumping noise as it hits the ground and rolls. And then it begins crawling at them. Don't you dare harm those woods. They are my life source. And the forest continues to burn, and the flames spread. And they spread magically. And out of the flames runs a goat. And the goat comes out and says, I'm free. I'm free. You figured out how to end the curse by burning this forest to the ground. And Jeremy says, yes. Yes, it seems that it was our fear that lived in these woods that's fueling the dragon's power. And the dragon is now crawling towards them, but very close now. It says, I still have strength enough left to finish you. And Jeremy walks over to the dragon, picks up his sword, the fire sword, still hot from lighting the trees on fire, and thrusts his sword down into the upper jaw of the dragon. And this time, the scales are soft enough that it cuts through all the way down into the brain of the dragon. And Jeremy says, finish this. And with a terrifying yet pathetic yelp, the dragon dies as the forest continues to burn. And Jeremy and Dynamite Thunder and Miranda in goat form look at the woods. And the flames rose higher, and the wicked place was destroyed. That was improvised story for tonight. I hope you liked it. I hope if you didn't like it, or even if you do, feel free to comment, message me. Constructive feedback is super helpful for me. Things that you'd like to see more, if you'd like to have a story be longer, shorter, funnier, less attempts at humor, more serious, more realistic, more characters, anything and everything. I could use all the help I can get, and I'd be happy to do a variety of different kinds of stories. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.